This video is about what we mean when we talk about having capacity in the trauma healing space. So this is a word that comes up quite a lot because it's really important. Capacity relates to how much space we have available in our nervous system. And this is affected because when we experience a trauma, and it's not just about the event, it's about the amount of stress that's in the nervous system. And a trauma occurs if there's already such a large amount of stress in the nervous system already, and then another stress happens and it kind of we go out of our capacity. And so it's this capacity and us being within it or overwhelmed and outside of it, beyond it, that also relates to whether we experience trauma in the nervous system when we become so dysregulated and stuck in that survival state. So capacity isn't about how strong you are, or it's not about your willingness to do the work. It's about what is possible for you to process in the moment, feeling safe and grounded. It's about how much you can stay present with. So in the trauma healing space, when we are either doing the somatic work or in relation to counseling, you're maybe talking and sharing about the things that you want to share. And it depends on whether you feel like you have the capacity to do that or not. Whether you feel that you can stay present with the work, with the processing, and it not overwhelm you again. And so this is something that you have to gauge for yourself, and you also have to be aware of before, during, and also after practices. And just having that inner dialogue and relationship with yourself about what you have the capacity for, what's possible for you in these moments when you want to do the work. Because sometimes we might want to go really deep, but it's not the time for it. You know, we don't have the capacity for that on that day, in that moment, and that's okay. So we have to understand our own capacity, and when it feels like we've got space and when it feels like we're coming up against that limit, so we can decide how much we can do and when we can do it. So when a trauma happens, this shrinks our capacity, because I want you to imagine, I've got glass here actually. So I want you to imagine that this glass is your nervous system, okay? And this water represents stress that's already in the nervous system. Now, when we experience a trauma, when our nervous system goes into that survival mode, I want you to imagine that we've filled it up and it begins to overflow. We're out of capacity and now it can't manage. But then we do the work. We begin to slowly regulate and we have a little bit more capacity in here. So we take a drink, the stress goes down, and then we have some more space in here. And so it's about us understanding how much space do we have in our nervous system, because if we're going to start processing the things that happen to us, whether that be somatically or cognitively, at some point that stress is going to come back into our system again. It's going to, I mean, it might already still be in the system. You might already be up here if you come and do therapy work already. So that's not very much to go with, right? So we can only do a little bit of work, and then we've got to bring the stress down. We release some of it and we bring the stress down. And then the next time we do a bit of work and then we bring the stress down again. Okay, here in this case is, a decent amount of capacity to work with things, but that's not always the case. And there's always going to be some stress in the system just from our day-to-day life. But I hope this class helps you understand a little bit more about our capacity. Because when we're at capacity, when that glass is full and overflowing, we can't actually process and integrate anything. We're just in survival mode and in that overly protecting state, which really affects us. So we have to be really mindful about that, because we don't want to add any more stress to the unnecessary stress to the system. We don't want to be overwhelmed by healing. We don't want a case of emotional flooding where all of these different memories and sensations and thoughts and feelings begin to flood our nervous system, because it feels that you now have some capacity to do the work. And that's why I've spoken in other videos about how we have to really be slow and be really, really gentle, because there's this urgency for us to heal as quickly as we can. And why, can I not do this quicker? But when we start to process, the body doesn't really always process the things that you want it to. It's not, the body is incredibly smart, but the stress that comes out of your system isn't only related to that event that you think it might, or those events that you think it might be related to. The stress that's in your system kind of been there for decades. And so the body starts releasing things that maybe you didn't even know, and you don't even have any memory of, but it's not actually related to the thing that you came for originally, the thing that you decided that you wanted to get work healing around, because your body just starts to want to heal it all. And this can result in us feeling really flooded and filling our glass right up. And we want to make sure that that glass definitely doesn't overflow. So we have to take things very, very slowly, so that you can feel safe and grounded in doing this work, and that it is sustainable for you to do this work. What was the other point I had to make? I'm just looking through my notes here. Yeah. Capacity grows when we feel safe. I spoke about this in the last video. So making sure that we are creating that safe space, when we feel supported, and when we feel well resourced. So all of these things play a really key role in us being able to release that stress out of the system and to increase our capacity, as well as us doing that emotional work around those specific events. We also do need to work on our orienting, our grounding, our resourcing, our support system, that holistic approach to healing in all of the micro, just tiny little bits in all of these different areas. I speak about this in another video about I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, I'll pop the link in the description, but it's about, what contributed to my healing journey. And so it's very holistic. It's not just this modality or that modality or having this many sessions for that amount of time. It doesn't really work like that. So healing isn't about pushing yourself to do the work. It's also about working within your limits, within what you've got the capacity for, to do it safely. So I hope that explains what we mean when we talk about capacity in trauma and nervous system healing work. If you found this video insightful or helpful, or if you have any questions or comments or concerns or queries, please go ahead and pop them in the comments section below. I would love to hear from you. You can like and subscribe to the channel. My name is Donna Louise, and I'm a trauma-trained somatic practitioner, a functional breathwork coach, a clinical EFT practitioner, and a trainee counsellor. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Until then, take very good care.